Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Anna and I am a knitter and maker living in Seattle, Washington, and today I'm going to talk to you about everything that I knit in 2023. I'm sure you've seen many of these videos by now. I feel like I'm a little late to the parade, but I really like making these videos and watching these videos, for one, just because it's a great roundup of patterns to see what people are making, hear about how yarns are holding up. And it's also just a good opportunity to reflect on what I made this year and kind of think about what I want to do for the next year, what I want to learn from what I made this year, things like that. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. But before we talk about the actual projects, I have a little segment that I want to do. I started this last year and really enjoyed it, which is kind of like my knitting wrapped for 2023. So I have some like stats and data on what I made and kind of different things that I will put in here. So enjoy that.
All right, welcome to my 2023 knitting wrapped. In 2023, I finished 24 projects, which is quite a few less than I did in 2022, but I don't think that's a bad thing. I had less knitting time this year, and just overall, I think did some projects that were a little slower, but I'm still really happy with everything that I was able to make this year, and I'll talk you through those in a little bit. The breakdown of types of projects that I did. I finished 6 sweaters, 3 summer tops, 1 vest, 5 baby knits, both for my baby and for other people's babies, 8 accessories, and 1 pair of shorts, which was kind of a fun throw in. I did 4 test knits. I knit 3 gift knits. And of my 24 projects, 6 of them were free patterns, which is a quarter, which is kind of a lot. My most knit designers in 2023, I made 4 patterns by Ozetta, 1 sweater, a tee, and then 2 accessories. I did 3 patterns by Petite Knit, a sweater, a tee, and 1 baby set, which I guess could be considered 3 different finished objects because it was pants, a sweater, and a little hat. So depending on how we want to break that down. I knit 2 patterns from Sundae Yarn. They were both sweaters, and 2 patterns from Pearl Soho, a hat and a shawl.
Okay, so that's a little bit of like a summary of what I made in 2023, who my favorite designers were, and what kind of projects I made. And now we'll actually get into the projects. Sorry if I'm a little out of breath in this video. I am very pregnant at this point. I'm 36 weeks pregnant. I'm having a baby soon. And my lungs are squished. So sorry if I'm out of breath. That's also the reason I'm not going to be trying everything on for you in this video, because I don't think it will be a super accurate representation of what the projects look like and how I intend to wear them. I don't usually walk around with my belly hanging out of my clothes, and a lot of these, if I were to put them on right now, that's what it would look like. So I will put pictures of the projects just on the hanger, and then me wearing them so that you can see, kind of get a gauge of what they look like. I'll put my normal measurements, my pre-pregnancy measurements in the down bar so that you can kind of gauge how much ease I'm wearing in things and what it would maybe look like on your body if you're interested in that. So that's where we'll start, because everything that I've made this year, I just kind of knit my usual size. And we'll see how that shakes out in the future, but for reference, I will leave that information down below. Okay, so I want to go through things in chronological order of when I knit them, and I'll tell you what I think about them, all sorts of stuff. So the first finished project that I have from the year is this, which doesn't look very finished, but it is. This is the Salter Beanie, which is a test I did for Ozetta, who's one of my favorite knitwear designers. I was super excited to test knit for her. This was my first time test knitting for her, but I did end up testing for her twice this year. And this is the Salter Beanie. It's you can do it. There's a single folded or a double folded brim option. And this is kind of an interesting beanie because of the way that the increase or the decreases work. It's kind of this conical shape. And I think it's really cool. I knit this in Retrosaria Rosa Pomar Brusca yarn. I'm just going to, or it's Beiroa. It's Retrosaria Beiroa, which is a rustic single ply, like DK to worsted weight yarn. And I bought this yarn in 2021, I want to say, or maybe in 2022. I bought it in 2022. at a yarn store called Tolt Yarn and Wool in Carnation, Washington. And I really liked it because it has this, like, it's dyed, but it has these like natural, these kind of stripes of the natural sheep's color in it. So I really liked the yarn. And then this beanie was written for Brusca, which is another Rosa Palmar yarn. So I was like, oh, I'll do it in this. The yardage was a little dissimilar. And as you can see, I did not have enough yarn to finish. So I tested it. I did the double folded version. I think if I'd done the single folded version, I would have had plenty of yarn. But I tested the double folded version because I do love a good thick cozy brim, and I ran out of yarn. So I just finished the test knitting to like practice, to check out the pattern in a different yarn, and then kind of ripped it back. And I was trying to decide what I was going to do with it after that. And I have not done anything with it. So there's nothing wrong with the pattern. I actually really like the pattern, and I like the fit of the hat. I think it's really cute. I just haven't done anything with this. And I think I am going to end up frogging it. I don't know that I would love this color yarn for a hat. I may use it for a pair of like house socks because it's really rustic. I feel like it would hold up well to that, even though it's a single ply. And I'm not sure what else I would do with it because I just have the one skein. So no, I like the pattern. I think it's great. I think I'd knit the pattern again in a different yarn, but I'm going to frog this just because it's not fully done. And I don't think this is the perfect, I don't think I would wear this as much. So that was my first project. Successful knit, but not successful product because of my own misjudgment on the yarn. So that's project number 1. Project number 2 that I finished in the year is the Moonset Pullover by Ozetta, which we have here. I knit this in a combination of a Finnish single ply, like vintage, very vintage yarn that I had bought secondhand and over dyed to get kind of a mossy green color. And then I held that with drops Kid Silk in the dark green or forest green colorway. I hand dyed this, and it turned out a little specklier than I was intending. You can see here on the body that the yarn is pretty speckled, but the sleeve yarn is not super speckled. But you can kind of see, I'm not a hand dyer, so this is not perfect. You can kind of see there's a bit of like striping and color pooling, and it's not perfect, but I do like this sweater. I knit this in the size large for Ozetta's pattern because I wanted it to be really big and cozy. I usually knit a medium in her patterns, and I kind of wish I had knit this in the size down because it is very oversized on me. And the neckline is super wide, which I think is the one thing I don't love about this sweater, is that it's just like really open. So I was thinking maybe I would thread some elastic through the neckline. I haven't done that yet, but I'm not striking it out. The only other thing about this is that I think it's a little bit too cropped for me. As you can see, the body is shorter than the sleeves, and I think I knit it to pattern, but I think I would like to add a little bit of length to this. I have plenty of yarn left over, the mohair and the main color. And then the other thing I did wrong is that when I did the I-cord bind off on the body, I did it in the wrong size needle. I didn't go down a needle size, and so it kind of flips up, which I don't love. So there's a few things about this that I need to fix. I don't know when I'm gonna get around to it because, most of us don't like to revisit projects that are done, but I am a proponent of that, so I need to get back around to this. Maybe just add like an inch or two of length so that the body and the sleeves are a little bit closer in length, and fix that I-cord bind off on the bottom. It would take a couple hours, maybe a day, but just haven't gotten around to it yet. But I do really like this sweater. It's super cozy. It's very drapey. It's a little bit scratchy. The main color yarn is pretty rustic. It's meant to be a rug yarn. But I had a sweater's quantity in stash and I wanted to use it for that. And then the Drops Kid Silk is just not the softest mohair. It does have a little bit of a prickle factor. So this is a little prickly, but I do like it. I think the color is really cool. It is more speckly than I think I would prefer. I'm not a huge speckle person, but it's a really pretty piece. It's cool that I dyed the yarn myself, and it's very cozy. So with a few tweaks, I think I will wear this more in the future. It's very cozy. So, I can't really complain. And I like the pattern a lot. I love Ozetta's patterns. I've knit quite a few from her. So I'm really happy. I'm generally happy with that. I think there's some tweaks I could do to make it better. All right, my next finished object for the year was this lovely hot water bottle cover. This is mine, and I used a free pattern from Maker Maker to do this, which I don't remember what the pattern itself is called. let me see if it's on my page. It's not. But I have a mini hot water bottle. It's kind of a smaller one. And so I just had to kind of, the free pattern from Maker Maker is really nice because you can plug in the dimensions of your bottle and your gauge and kind of get your own custom pattern. So I use that as a baseline, but basically you just like Judy's Magic Cast on the bottom, increase for the rounded edge, knit, 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 and then decrease and knit the long neck. These have been very popular this year, so I'm sure you've seen lots of people talking about them, but I'm really happy with mine. I used this mysterious yarn. I'll come closer so you can see. It's a marled yarn that I got secondhand. There was no ball band, but it's like a green and blue marl. I really like it. It's a worsted weight, so this is kind of chunky. I think in the future, not if, I get another hot water bottle, I think I'll knit it with a finer gauge yarn so that it doesn't insulate so much, because I feel like I almost feel like the heat doesn't pass all the way through because the wool is such a good insulator. It like keeps the bottle warm for a long time, but it doesn't pass the heat onto me as well. So in the future, I don't regret making this at all. I think it's great. But in the future, for a future water bottle, I think I would make a finer gauge cover. But anyway, I do really like this. It was a super fast knit. I use my hot water bottle all the time. I love it. So this was great, super successful, super easy, like weekend project. And I'm very happy with it. My next two finished objects were both baby knits, and they were both gifts. So before I was having a baby, I had a friend that had a baby this year, and my sister had a baby last year. So the first thing I knit were these little baby overalls, which they're from a free pattern from Serdar. They're called the Baby Pocket Dungarees. And I just knit them in some stash yarn that I had. And these are knit flat and seamed, which was fine. It's not my preferred way to knit, but it was fine. There was a lot of mattress stitch that had to happen to get these together, but they turned out really cute in the end. And I will put a picture of my friend's little baby wearing them. He was a chunky guy, so I don't think he fit them for a super long time, but he looked very cute in them. And it worked out. It's a cute pattern. I think if you're looking for a free baby overalls pattern, it's a good option if you don't mind the seaming. And then the second pattern I knit was this little pair of shorts for my niece. These are the Spring Blossom Baby Shorts by Sandra Magalhães. I need to look up how to pronounce her name. She's Portuguese, and she has so many cute baby knit patterns. I knit these in the Yarn Bee Bambootiful, which is it's just like the house brand yarn at Hobby Lobby, which is an American kind of chain big box craft store. It's a nice yarn. It used about half a skein. I knit just the little 1 to 3 month size because my little niece lives in Texas and it's hot there in the summertime. But they turned out really cute. There's like a version of these shorts with lace on the bottom, and then there's a plain version if you were going to knit them for like a little boy and you didn't want them to have the lace. They knit up super fast. They were really easy and really cute. Since I have the pattern, I may make a pair for my little girl in the summertime. I just don't know how big she's going to be in the summertime, so I'm going to wait a little longer before I make those. But these were really fun and really cute. Really enjoyed those. So those were my baby knits, and that kind of brings us to March. This was my first finished object from March, were these socks, which were actually my one and only pair of socks that I knit this year. Kind of surprising. These are the Cape Gingham socks, which is a pattern by Julie Sprague. It's a free pattern. I knit these in Sundasgarn Sisu, which is a superwash merino nylon blend. It's made for socks. I bought the yarn in 2022 at Strikkelykke, which is a really cute little yarn store in Bergen, and it was on super clearance. So I got 2 balls of the dark purple and 1 ball of the light purple. For these socks, I ended up using not even all of the light purple, and I think only 1 ball of the dark purple. Maybe like I broke into the second skein a little bit, but they were really pretty easy to make, or really did not take a lot of yarn is what I'm trying to say. They were kind of tedious to make because it's stranded color work the whole time. So these are cuffed down, and you do this stranded color work all the way down. You put the heel flap and gusset, and then you do just like a simpler stranded color work pattern on the foot and keep the gingham on the top of the foot and then do the toes. These took me, I think I cast them on in January and didn't finish them until March. So they took me a little while. They were like my commute knitting mostly, and they're actually looking a little scruffy, to be honest, for socks that I haven't worn that much. Because these are stranded color work, even though it's a fingering weight yarn, they're really pretty thick. They feel more like DK weight socks. And I'm honestly, so I don't really wear them in shoes, and I'm honestly kind of surprised by how much they've pilled for being a superwash merino nylon sock yarn. Like, they don't look great in a lot of places. And I didn't really enjoy knitting with this yarn. I find that it untwists itself really easily, and it like twists up on itself. It's just not that, does not make for the nicest knitting experience. And it hasn't held up that great. So I don't think I would recommend this yarn, to be honest. I still have more of it in my stash that I need to use up, but it's fine. It's not great, especially for socks. I think if you're gonna use it for anything, I would prefer it for baby knits. I've knit something for my baby in it this year in 2024, and it was fine for that. It was still kind of annoying to knit with, but I think it'll be better for that. It just doesn't hold up well to the friction of socks, which is kind of strange. So these socks are fine. I'm not upset about them. I don't wear them very often because they're so thick. They're more of like a pair of house socks for me. And because of the floats, like you can see, it looks okay like this, but if you stretch it at all, you can see where I've caught my floats. Because this is a free pattern, so I can tell you the main color squares are 5 stitches across. So I just felt, in order to not get my toes caught in there when I'm putting them on, I needed to kind of, I need to catch my floats, which I don't always do. But I don't know, they're just a little bit, they don't fit great. I think I'm not a heel flap and gusset girl. I prefer a toe up sock generally. And overall, these are just not my favorite make. I don't think they're bad. I don't think it's the pattern's fault. I think it was a combo of the yarn and my knitting tension. Maybe I should have gone up a needle size, blah, blah, blah. But, oh, one more thing about these is that these are actually written for a sport weight yarn, and I wanted to use this fingering weight yarn. So I ended up adding, I think 10 stitches to what the pattern says because I wanted to add a full pattern repeat, and a pattern repeat is a main color column and a color work column. So like this right here is a pattern repeat, these 1, 2, 3, 4 little blocks. I love the effect of them. I love the way they look. They're just not the most successful of projects, but that's okay. You live and you learn. So those are my one and only pair of socks for the year. And my next finished object is this pièce de résistance. This is my half and half triangles wrap by Pearl Soho, which I really did not enjoy making, but I do really love the product. So here she is. It's like huge and cozy. This is the smaller of the two sizes, and it's still quite big. I think I would have loved it even more if it was a little bit bigger, but I think if I had made the bigger size, I never would have finished making it because it's so much knitting. I knit this in the Hillesvåg unspun yarn, which I bought in Norway on that trip that I went on in 2021. And I think I actually cast this on in 2022, but I didn't finish it until 2023. It took me several months to finish. It's just a lot of stitches, a lot of garter stitch, a lot of rows, and it was a slog for me. But I do really love the finished product. I use it a lot at home as like a lap blanket at my desk. I don't wear it as a scarf or a shawl really super often unless I'm like throwing it over my shoulders at home. But it's just beautiful. I love the black and white contrast. This is really more of a charcoal, but I think it's gorgeous and very cozy, and it's really surprisingly not pilled very much. And I just really like it. I think I would make, here's my dilemma. I want another one of these. I want the bigger sized one. I don't know if I have the stamina to make it. I said this in my 2023 favorites video as well, but because I'm having a baby this year, it may just be that I only have the mental energy for very simple things. So if that's the case, then I could cast on another one of these and work on it slowly over the year. I'm undecided. I don't have yarn to make another one of these or anything, but I do really like this one. It's very lovely. It's not for me like the therapeutic practical knit or like relaxing knit that it is for so many other people, but it is a lovely product to have. My next finished object I do not have because I frogged it. Not because I disliked the pattern, but just because I needed the yarn for another project. This is the Victoria scarf, which I did as a test knit for Icy Billing of Orsa Makes. It's just like a little neck kerchief scarf, and I knit it with some vintage 100% wool that I bought at a thrift store. And I really liked the scarf. I didn't wear it a ton. I'm not like a super big kerchief girly. But it's a really fun project. It has these like elongated cables. It's very pretty. I have some nice pictures of it that I can put up for you. But I did end up frying it because I needed the yarn for another project. So that's like the only reason I don't have this to show you. I would make it again. I think it would be a really lovely gift. I want to make a little neck scarf for my grandma this year, so I could use this pattern for that. I don't know. I think it's pretty. I think it's cute. It fits great with the kind of trend that we have this year of the little neck scarves, and it's very pretty. There's nothing wrong with it. I just needed the yarn for another project, and I wasn't wearing it that much, so that's the only reason I don't have it anymore. My next finished object, which I finished up in March as well, is this, which is one of my favorite projects of the year. This is my Lonely Leftovers vest, which is a gorgeous pattern from Wool and Beyond. I love this. I wear it quite often, and I used a bunch of unspun yarn scraps to make my vest and did kind of this, it's supposed to be a fade. I don't know that it really worked as a fade. It's more of like a color block, but I think it's very pretty and very cozy. I really like it. I really love the I-cord trim. And this back, the yoke on the back, I think is really cool. It's a great stash buster scrappy project. You can marl all sorts of yarns together, or you can make it in a solid. I think this is a great project. I don't know if I would make another one of this version, but she has another vest that's in like a honeycomb brioche that maybe I would make, just because I don't know that I need another garter stitch vest. But I love this. I think it's super fun, super quick. It's chunky yarn, chunky needles. The only reason mine didn't knit up super quick is because I had to do some frogging to kind of get the transition a little bit nicer, but I'm really happy with it. I love it. I used Hillesvåg yarn. I used Briggs & Little unspun yarn. I used Plötulopi. I used White Buffalo. Like it's very scrappy. It's kind of a mixture of all sorts of unspun yarn. I feel like it's an ode to my love for unspun yarn a little bit. And I really enjoyed making it. It's fun, it's fast, and it's very versatile. Like it's really easy to style and works with all sorts of things, and I love it. So that's my next one. All right, next finished object is my hat, my second hat of the year. This is a kind of, I can call it, I guess, a muscle burrow hat, but I did not use the muscle burrow hat pattern. I kind of just made it up for myself. I top down cast on, knit until I ran out of my main color, and then kind of freestyled the inside with a different yarn because I had one skein of the Holst Super Soft in the color Truffle, I want to say. I think I wrote it down. Yes, which is a gorgeous color. I really, really like the color of this yarn. It's like a brown far away, but it has like oranges and blues, and I just think it's gorgeous. This was my first time using Super Soft, and I really like the yarn. I would definitely knit with it again. I kind of messed this hat up in that like my stitch marker fell out at one point, and so I wasn't really sure where the beginning of round is, and so the increases on the top do not match up with the decreases on the bottom. And I think my gauge might be a little different from these two yarns, so it's a little bit like the inside lining fabric is kind of loose, and it just doesn't, I don't know, there's something about it that's not quite right that I find a little bit annoying. I don't know if I care enough to go back and fix it, but I do like this hat still. I can put it on for you, I guess. It's cute, it's cozy, it's very warm. Just feel like the lining doesn't fit super soft, and so I'm just not sure about it. I'm also just, I don't know about the top of the hat. I feel like I don't know, the shape is a little off. But it's cute, it's cozy, it's warm, and it's a good experiment. I'm not going to get rid of it or frog it or anything. I'll just keep using it. But yeah, it was a generally successful project, especially for one that I just freestyled. And I love the Super Soft, and I would definitely knit with Super Soft again. I think I will in the future. So that was my next FO. And then my next big guy was this. This is my Marseille sweater by Petite Knit, which is by far and away my most worn project of the year. I knit it in Briggs & Little Regal in the color Fur Green. And the white is just a random discontinued worsted weight white yarn. I love this sweater. I wear it all the time. I usually knit a medium in Petite Knit patterns, and that's what this is. It's the perfect amount of oversized. I've been able to wear it through my pregnancy, which has been really nice. The length is perfect. The sleeve length is perfect, which it wasn't from the beginning. I had to do some frogging and grafting and sweater surgery to get the sleeve length perfect, but it is really great now. I really like the shoulder construction on this pattern. You know, Petite Knit does all sorts of different shoulder constructions, but I feel like it's pretty invisible on this one. Probably partly the construction and partly the yarn I used that's pretty rustic, and so it filled in those gaps. I think I still do need to put some elastic in the neck because it's a little gapey, like right up here at the front, but I don't mind it enough that I've done it yet. So I love this sweater. I love it so much. I think it's wonderful. It's so versatile. It's so cozy. I wear it at home. I wear it to work. I wear it everywhere. It's the best. I mean, Petite Knit is Petite Knit. She's our old faithful. You just can't escape her. And she knows what she's doing with this, especially. I would knit this sweater again. I don't know if I would knit it with the stripes again. Maybe I would just do a plain one. But it's a great pattern to have in my library. Wonderful drop shoulder. I'm sure at some point in my life I'll make another one. So this is great. I've worn it so many times and I'm really happy with it. My next FO is the Mia sweater, which is a pattern by Cheryl Mokhtari, who is, what's her other knitting name? Oh gosh, I don't remember, but Cheryl Mokhtari. I really like this pattern. I think it's really cute. It is a raglan with this really wide raglan band and the broken, kind of wide broken rib stitch that carries on the sleeves, and then you have these shorter twisted ribs. It's a beautiful pattern. I have not worn this one time, which is kind of sad. I do feel sad saying that because it's gorgeous. I really like the look of it. There are some things about it that I don't love. First of all is that you start with a collar and then knit it down. And I kind of regret doing that because as you can see, it's not straight. Like the ribbing slants to one side. I did not do a good job, especially on either side, on the front or the back, lining up the stitches properly. And they just have a little bit of a lean to them that I find really annoying. Nobody else would notice, but to me, I find it really annoying. So my only option to fix it is really to cut the collar off, pick up the stitches and knit it again, which I feel a little nervous about doing, but I've done enough sweater surgery that it would probably be fine. It's also quite a high neck. Like it comes up, I don't know, this sweater is also, but like it comes up probably to like here, which I would prefer it to knit, just to lay more like this sweater. So I think if I cut the neck off, I would actually pick up stitches a little bit further down. I'm not sure. That's part of the reason I haven't worn this. The other reason is that the yarn is actually really quite scratchy, which is surprising. This yarn is a cone of yarn that I bought at a yarn consignment store near my mom's house in California. I don't remember what it's called, but I will link it down below. And it's a wool and Angora blend, which is usually like so soft, so luxurious, but this is extremely itchy. I put this on just like a couple weeks ago to work from home in because I was like, I really need to wear this sweater. It's beautiful. It actually is a really good length. It works even with my belly. Like the sleeves are a good length. It's beautiful. And I put it on and I could not wear it for more than an hour. And you know me, like I'm not super sensitive to rustic yarns. They generally don't bother me. It's very scratchy, which is kind of surprising because Angora is supposed to be soft, but this was not soft. So not sure what I'm gonna do about it. Probably just wear a shirt under it and continue on with my life. And I'm not sure about the neck either. I might just have to get over it because it's a cute sweater and I have not worn it one time, which is sad. So yeah, that's where we're at on this. I'm not really at a resolution. My next finished project was my Sundae tee, which is another pattern by Petite Knit. I made it in the Pearl Soho linen quill, which is a wool, alpaca, and linen blend. I made it in the size medium, which is my normal Petite Knit size. And I like this project. It took a while because it's fingering weight yarn on 3mm needles, but it turned out really cute. I like the yarn a lot. It's a little warm for a summery top, but I live in Washington and it's not that hot here, so it's fine. Yeah, I mean, I had to make it a little bit cropped in the body and in the sleeves because I only had 2 skeins of this yarn, which is a little less than the yardage that the pattern calls for. But I do a lot of yarn chicken, so that's what I did here and it worked out. I don't think it's too short and I don't think the sleeves are too short and I really like it. I did The only modification that I made was to add a few short rows underneath the back yoke, and I just did them, I didn't even do them across the body, like across the sleeve split at all. They're just under the back yoke. So it raises the back neck just a little tiny bit. You can see not a huge amount, but I think it makes a difference, makes the fit a little bit nicer. And I did all of the lovely folded finishes on this, so I think it's really pretty. It turned out nice, and I've worn it a few times, not a ton, but I think I'll wear it more once I don't have a belly. So yeah, that's not much more to say about this. I really like it. I like the yarn, I like the pattern. It's cute. I like the color a lot. It's rosewood pink. Alrighty, next up is my Airt, which is my test knit for Ozetta that I did. I want to say I cast this on in May, and I probably finished it in June or July. It's a summer t-shirt, but it has this really pretty yoke detail on the back that carries on into the sleeves. I almost think I would like it more if it didn't carry into the sleeves, if it was just cast off and then picked up. But I still like it. I haven't worn this a ton because, one, this is 100% wool. Not sure why I thought that was the best idea for a summer t-shirt. It's not too hot, but it's a pretty dry wool. Like, it feels more like cotton than it does like wool. But I didn't wear it a ton. I also knit this in the size 2, and I generally knit size 3 from Ozetta, but this is another yarn chicken project. This is the project that I had to steal yarn from my Victoria scarf to make, and I think I would like it more if it was in the size 3. I think I will probably knit it again this year in the size 3, or maybe even the size 4. I think I actually probably should just do the size 3 since I learned my lesson from this one, that the large is too large. But I do really like this. I love the finishes. I think they're really pretty. I'm not sure you can see it all that well in this dark yarn, but especially on the collar, you do like a few rounds of stockinette before you do the I-cord bind off, which I think makes it lie really nicely. And then it's just a normal I-cord bind off on the sleeves and on the body, which does have a tendency to flip, but I don't know that there's really anything you can do about that with I-cord bind off. I think it just does that. Maybe I need to bind off a little tighter, but there it is. Again, this is another project I finished kind of like later in the summer, and so I wasn't wearing it a ton. We'll see if I wear it more this year. I'm unsure. I like it. I like it enough that I would knit it again, but I think this was a bad size and yarn choice for me. It looks really dark too, but it's a navy. And this yarn is like Velcro. It like picks up a lot of fluff and stuff, but all in all, I think I like the design a lot. I like Ozetta's patterns. She always does something kind of interesting with construction, even though the knitting looks really simple. So that was my second of 3 summer tops, and this was my third of 3 summer tops. This is the Tide Loops tee by Other Loops. This was a long project because it's fingering weight yarn on 3mm needles, and you have to look at a chart pretty much the whole time to get this textured pattern, which is gorgeous. I love it. I love the effect. It's like meant to look like sand under the water, and I think it does. You knit it inside out, so most of the time you're doing the stockinette and then just a few purls, and then you do it the other way around so that the garter reverse stockinette shows. And I also really like this. I've worn this a few times. I wore it to flock. I'm not sure that I've worn it since, actually, but it's very cute. I think I also knit this on the size 2, and maybe would have liked it if I'd knit the size larger, but I only had 250 grams of this yarn in stash, and I probably would have needed a little bit more if I was going to knit the size up. I actually like ran out of yarn when I was doing the bind off and had to use a different yarn, so you can kind of see when I'm wearing it, it like peeks out the back, but it's not noticeable enough. I also had to do these facings a little bit shorter than the pattern calls for to accommodate for that, but I don't think it is noticeable. I actually really like the facings because it just looks like it ends, but they're underneath. And the collar is ribbed. I don't know, it could have, because all the other facings are folded, I feel like she could have done something similar to the Sundae tee that has that little facing on the top, which you do this first, by the way. You cast on this and then knit it down and then keep going. I think that could have been nice for this, but probably not possible because this is a circular yoke and this is a drop shoulder. Now it's making sense, but I think a folded neckline might have looked a little nicer on this. I don't hate the ribbing. I think I thought about it, but anyway, it's cute. And I love the texture. The yarn is Elspeth Lavold Silky Wool, so it's maybe 50-50 wool and silk. Again, not like the most summery of yarns, but I don't live in a super hot place, so it works. I think I will wear this more this coming summer. We'll see. I finished this pretty late in the summer. It was August, first week of August when I finished it, so haven't worn it a ton, but it is gorgeous, if nothing else. It was a lot of work because of the number of charts. Oh, I did have to add some charts, like a half a repeat more of the chart to the bottom. My row gauge was quite off from the pattern, so that, and it's still a little bit cropped, but it's very pretty. It looks really simple from far away, but the closer you get, the prettier it is. I'm really happy with it. I need to wear it more. I just don't know that I'm the biggest summer tee person, but I keep making them, so we'll mull on that. All right, next finished project is this little guy, which was another test knit. This is the gingham pouch by the Petite Knitter. I just thought it was really cute. I saw the test call on Instagram and I was like, I'll make that. It was a fun little weekend project and I just used scraps. This is the same yarn that I used for my hot water bottle cover, and this is leftover yarn actually from my Guernsey sweater that I made last year, the Sundae textured cable-y kind of guy. I think the only thing I don't like about this is that the straps are kind of short, the I-cord straps, which I have a little bit more of this yarn left. I can definitely make them longer. It just makes it kind of hard to carry. I think I would use it more if they were a little longer, but it's a good project bag, little pouch. The bottom is garter stitch, and then you pick up around to do the gingham. I did a much better job with my tension on this gingham, but I think it's because I did not catch my floats. I just left them long in the back because I wasn't worried about snagging, and you can't, like, there's none of that. Like we saw in the socks, there's none of that kind of cinching. Most people find that catching floats makes them knit their colorwork looser. I have the opposite problem. So yeah, there's my little bag. It's like a good project bag, or put a couple skeins of yarn in there. It's just cute. It's a quick one. It's fun. I would recommend. Okay, next up is another sweater that I finished and have not worn yet. This is the Frankie sweater by Sundae, which I knit in Hobby Friends wool in the color amethyst or something, electric blue. I love the color. I think it's amazing. I have not worn this once. I finished it in September, maybe August, end of August. I think the reason I haven't worn this is one, because I finished it at a weird time of year, and then my belly was getting big, so it didn't really work. And it's also too short. I need to knit it a little bit longer. I think I was just eager to get started with this giant ribbing, and I did the body a little shorter. It's even a little longer than I think the pattern recommends, but for me, I find it still a little bit too short. I think I need to add probably an inch or 2 inches of stockinette before the ribbing. So I will have to, I'm not unraveling this giant twisted rib. I'm not doing that. So I will just cut it off, knit down, sew it back on, which is not like the most enjoyable process, which is why I haven't done it yet, but I should. And I think it needs to be blocked again because I had to redo some of these. My sleeve lengths were also off, and I had to do some grafting on this one, which is why this giant tail is also not woven in. But it needs to be reblocked, and when I do, I'm going to stretch this ribbing out to be the same width as the stockinette because I don't want it to be super tight. I like the design of this sweater. I like the look of the long ribbing. In theory, I think I will like it more when it's a proper length. The construction of the sweater is really cool. It's a saddle shoulder. I'm not sure you can see all that well, but it's done contiguously. So you do kind of the short piece, and then I don't know how to explain. You know what a saddle shoulder is. You do some increases this way, and then you increase for the body, and then you increase for the sleeve. It's cool. The fit is nice. It's a little more snug than the pattern recommends because my gauge was off by like 1 stitch per inch, which you wouldn't think makes a big difference, but it does. So it's not as oversized as the pattern recommends either, but I still think it's cute. I have one more ball of yarn. I just need to add the length to the body and I will be set, and then I can wear this. So I need to do that. That's like, oh, it's just lingering in the back of my mind that this is something I need to do. So maybe I'll make myself do it now before I cast on another project for myself, because I don't have any selfish knits going at the moment. Maybe this needs to be my next priority, because it's so cute and I love the color. I just think it's very fun. It's maybe not like the best color for me, but it's cute. I need to wear it and give it the love it deserves and see how this yarn wears. I really enjoyed knitting with it, the Hobby Friends wool, but since I haven't worn this, I don't know how it holds up. So this is moving back into my to-do list of things to fix, and maybe I can give you a better, honest review of it in an upcoming video. Next up are these shorts, which is another project I made this year that I don't really like. These are the Lal shorts, which is from a pattern from Pasquale Knit Design. And I made it in the Hobby Rainbow Bamboo, which is a bamboo and cotton yarn. I like the yarn a lot. It's so drapey, it's so soft. I don't like these shorts. They don't look very good on. And the legs are like flared. You do decreases as you're doing the legs, and I don't think that really looks very cute either. The other thing I don't like is that on the back, when you are doing short rows, is that the texture's not in there, which I don't think it would have been that hard to add the texture to it. In theory, they're cute. I think the fabric looks nice. The texture with this yarn is really pretty, but in reality, they're like a weird length and a weird shape. I also finished them kind of later in the year when I couldn't, later in the summer. It was probably like the end of August or beginning of September. And at that point, my belly was growing and they like didn't super fit. So I might give these a try this summertime. Maybe they'll be a pajama short, or maybe I will just frog them and use the yarn for a summer top, because I have like a full skein left of this yarn. I got 4 skeins and I only used 3 in like a teeny tiny bit. So I feel like I can make better use of this yarn in something else if I don't end up wearing these as like a comfy lounge thing, which maybe I will. You never know. But I'll give them a try once it starts to warm back up. And if I'm just still not feeling it, then I think they're gonna get repurposed into something else. So it was an experiment. It was a failure. Okay, next I started knitting my little baby. This was my first project I made for the baby. This is Ellen's coming home set from Petite Knit, which uses a DK weight yarn. I knit the tiniest little size because this is what I plan to bring her home from the hospital in. And this is knit in John Arbon Knit by Numbers DK. I think the color is 62. It's very pretty. It's like a green with yellowy flecks in it. I bought the yarn for this before I knew if we were having a boy or a girl, just because I thought it was a good color for either. And as you can tell, I knit a lot of green things this year, so fit right in. But I'm really happy with it. The yarn is so soft. It's 100% merino. I think it's great. I mean, it's not superwash, so that's maybe not great for a baby, but softness level is great for a baby. And I just think the little shorts are so, the little pants are so cute, and the cardigan and the matching bonnet. So I don't know what else I have to say about this. It's super fast. The cardigan definitely took the longest, probably because it's knit flat, and sweaters just take a little longer. The pants were super quick. The bonnet was super quick. So yeah, it's so tiny. I'm very excited to bring her home in this. It will be very cute. There's her little outfit. Okay, next finished object is my Autumn Tails shawl, which is a pattern from Ozetta, my fourth Ozetta pattern of the year. It's a garter stitch shawl with a really beautiful slip stitch crochet edging on it that is knit in unspun yarn. I used Briggs & Little Country Roving for mine in the color Sheep's Brown. And it's not like the most groundbreaking of patterns. It's kind of like the Sophie scarf, where you knit an increase for a while, and then you knit flat for a while, and then you decrease for a while, and then you have a scarf. But I like it a lot. It's very cozy. It's a very simple knit. I cast this on because we were traveling and I thought it would be good for the trip, and it was good for the trip. I didn't finish it on the trip, but I made some good progress, and I'm really happy with it. I've worn it a few times. Keeps me nice and warm. The unspun yarn is super lightweight, but very warm and cozy. And I just think I've really loved Ozetta, and I've really loved garter stitch this year. So this fit right in. Next up is this teeny tiny hat that I made for the babes. There it is, just a little pink hat. I kind of hybrided this pattern because I didn't have a ton of yarn. At the end of this video, I'm gonna count how many of these projects that I made this year that I was playing yarn chicken. This was one of them. So I started from the top down. This is kind of a hybrid pattern between two free Purl Soho patterns. They're top down flap hat and the classic rib hat. So I used the top down flap hat to do the top down increases, and then I just increased until I got the size that I needed for the classic ribbed hat. And then I knit until I ran out of yarn. I did a little Italian bind off, so it's gorgeous. And yeah, this is knit in Knit Picks Andean Dreams, which is 100% baby alpaca. It's super soft. I'm gonna take it to the hospital with us, put on her little head when she's born, keep her toasty warm. And yeah, it's like 35 grams of yarn. It's maybe a little bit short, but I think it'll be fine unless she has a massive head, which is not an insane possibility. But yeah, it didn't take me very long. It took like 2 days probably. Let me look. Yeah, I did this in 24 hours. It's really cute and super soft, and I can't wait to put her in it, and I'm sure she'll grow out of it super fast, but we'll love it while we have it. So that was the next project. And after that, I finished this. This is the Korshaven sweater by Stricka Cafe, which I knit for my husband James for Christmas. And it's knit in a reclaimed yarn. It was a sweater from the thrift store that I unraveled and remade into this. And I knit it up super quickly, one, because it's pretty loose gauge and pretty big needles, and two, because I was in jury duty, but it was on Zoom. So I was just like in meetings all day for 2 weeks, and I could knit this without looking. So I knit up pretty quickly. It's very large. This is definitely the biggest thing I've knit in a long time. It's longer than I knit for myself, and the sleeves are longer than I knit for myself. But it fits him really well, and he's worn it quite a few times, and I like it. And I have one, so now we have matching sweaters, and I think it's great. And I can even wear it now if I wanted, and it would cover my belly. So yeah, I'm really happy with it. I love the texture on this sweater. It looks harder than it is. It's really pretty straightforward. The sweater has 2 neck options. I did the narrower one. Yeah, I don't have much else to say about it. It's great. Probably won't leave it hanging up for too long because it's very heavy and I don't want it to stretch out, but there it is. I'm really proud of it. It's very pretty. I did forget to weave in some of the ends, and so when James unwrapped it at Christmas and put it on, there was like a 3-foot long end hanging out at the back of the sweater. It made us all laugh very hard, but I've woven them in now, so you can wear it without having a tail. All right, next up is another little tiny baby knit. This is the button stitch baby cardigan, which is a free pattern by Knit Paint Sew. This is also knit up in the Knit Picks Andean Dreams 100% alpaca yarn. And it's really cute. These are like little bone buttons, and I love the button stitch. I think it's so cute. It's really well written for a free pattern. I made some modifications. I changed all the finishes to be ribbed instead of garter stitch, and I changed the spacing on the buttonholes to work a little bit better. This is a 0 to 6 months size. We'll see if it ends up fitting her for that long, but just to accommodate, give her a little extra time, I made the sleeves and the body a little bit longer than the pattern calls for, so we'll see. Depends on how chunky she is, but that's okay. And yeah, it's so cute. I want to use this stitch on more things because I love it, and it's really easy to make. So there it is. Little button stitch baby cardigan. Love it. All right, last finished object of the year. This took forever. This is my Gia zipper sweater by Sundae, and it took absolutely ages, but I do really like it, and I've already worn it a ton. I cast it off on New Year's Eve, so I've only had it finished for like 3 weeks, but I've worn it a lot. It's very cozy. It's knit in Cascade 220 in the color Smoke Heather, and a mohair from African Expressions, which is a South African brand. The collar is all double knitting, which took so long, but it is very cozy. And the zipper install was kind of scary, but it worked out, and I really am happy with how my facings look as well. I think it looks really clean. This is from the same pattern book as the Frankie sweater, and I knit mine quite a bit longer than the pattern recommends, and I did not do any waist shaping, which the pattern also recommends. So mine definitely took more yarn than it called for, and I had to emergency buy some extra, but it worked out and I like it a lot. I did the sleeves a little more tapered too, I think, than the pattern calls for. But other than that, it's a pattern and I really like it. It's very cozy. I think the only thing, maybe the neck is a little bit wide, but you know, I'm happy with it. I think the zipper sweater from Petite Knit has a little bit more of a narrow neck. This is just kind of floppy. I don't know if it's because it's wide or because it's heavy, but I still like it. I still wear it a lot. And yeah, so that is my final cast off of the year. Very successful, very happy with it. I think looking at everything that I made this year, I did a lot of Ozetta, a lot of garter stitch, and a lot of very simple knits. I feel like last year I did a lot more cables and color work and texture, but this year it was mostly stockinette, which I think was intentional because I found that I wasn't wearing a lot of my super textured knits as much, and I have worn a lot of these more plain things a lot. So like my Marseille sweater I've worn a lot. I've already worn my zipper sweater a lot. I've worn my vest quite a lot and my shawls. So I think it was a good move. I think I did kind of lose my mojo a little bit towards the end of the year. Just wasn't feeling very excited, partially because I can't, I'm kind of limited in what I can wear, and partially just because I don't know. I think I like simple things because they're easy to wear, but I like knitting things that are a little bit more complicated. So I need to find the sweet spot of things that are fun to knit, but things that I also want to wear. But beyond that, I feel like it was a pretty productive year. We did a lot of things and a lot of knitting, and I'm really happy with what I made, and I have a few things to fix, but we can get there. And that is all, I think, that I have to say. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and let me know what you enjoyed making this year. If you had a favorite knit from the year, pattern, or designer that you really loved and want to do more of next year. And with that, I will leave you. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.